Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hobo Thingo podcast, where we do a special segment each month titled Coffee, Tea, and the NLC. With me today, I have my right hand, who is also the curator of this episode, Georgette Palmer-Smith, who is the executive director of the Native Learning Center. Go ahead and say hi, Gigi.
Hello, everyone. Great to be back. We took a couple of months off for summer because we started in on our on-site training session. So it's been really, really busy. So now here we are back, and it's
Here
so
we
exciting to be back.
Yes, and we have a very special guest. We have Elizabeth Elliott, who's also the executive director of Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. Go ahead and say hello, Elizabeth, and do a brief introduction.
I'm Elizabeth Elliott. I am currently the Executive Director of Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority in Northern California, serving 7 federally recognized tribes. And I am super excited to be here because my team and I are super NLC fans.
We're glad to hear that. Yay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. All right. So today's topic, so for those listeners or viewers, I should say also, because we're on YouTube as well, but for those of you who have been part of these episodes or have seen them or heard them, you do know that, or you should know that these episodes tend to be a bit of a feel-good kind of, series where, we're talking about things that hit a little bit closer to home. They're a little bit more personal. And today's definitely one of those episodes, I should say, where we're going to be discussing essentially housing and our roles within housing. So the Native Learning Center, for those who aren't familiar, is a model activities program under NAHASDA, and we provide free training and technical assistance to Native Americans and those who work within Indian country. And with that, Georgette, she's the executive director. We work with a lot of housing authorities and TDHEs, tribally designated housing entities. We work with EWONAP, the Office of Native American Programs, bunch of organizations and so on and so forth. Elizabeth was a previous attendee of our leadership boot camp training that was held here. It was the first on-site training, I think in 600 or 800 days or something along those lines. It was crazy. It was quite a while. But either case, all of us work within housing, and we all have stories that have kind of launched us into that. So to begin today's episode, I wanted to go ahead and read Elizabeth's post. She created a social media post recently, and she kind of talks a little bit about her journey within housing and how she kind of got there. And today we're going to just dive even deeper. But I'm going to go ahead and start reading it, and then we'll just dive into some questions. So with that, here is Elizabeth's post. So I don't talk about it much, but my love for housing comes from my own housing insecurity as a child. When I was 4 and we returned back to the mountains, my mom and I lived in a modified gray hound bus. We would depend on battery operated system and wood stove to fulfill our heating and cooking needs. Our elevation to housing security came from moving into a little 100-year-old 2-bedroom shack that was converted from its prior use as a chicken coop. It was through my parents' teachings that I never realized we were poor. All I knew was that my home was the classroom, which gave me the skills I have today. I can honestly say I've been housing insecure for 30 of my 37 years on this earth. My childhood taught me to work for everything I have and to never give up. That no matter what happens, I will be okay and that success is possible. I do this work so that there is a pathway for others to gain housing stability. I recognize that our journeys are all different. My world is to simply show others that the pathway is possible. On my journey, my parents taught me to cherish the simple things in life. We would cherish rocks, beads, plants, and anything really that was gifted to us. That leads me to my long-winded, didn't get to see it, are some seashells. While in Florida, a very beautiful mermaid gave me the outside shells after empowering me with incredible leadership knowledge. Then today, an elder from the Cook Inlet Island thanked me for my work with the shell in the center. I couldn't be happier with the gifts these last 2 weeks have given me. I have renewed hope that my team and I can advance our work in providing opportunities for healing and housing. I'm excited for my journey back home with a full heart and new gifts to share with my babies. That was such a powerful post, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, oh
Yeah,
my goodness. When I saw that, oh, the waterworks started. I was like so touched by it. Thank you for sharing that story, not only to the world of social media, but back to us. And we're very honored to have you share that story.
definitely. And
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And just with myself, I had a very difficult childhood growing up when it came to housing and so on and so forth. So I was able to completely relate to, your story and persevering, essentially, having that sense of resiliency, if you will, which is also very common within Indian country. We're all indigenous peoples, I feel like, have been labeled resilient. And I think, this was definitely a post that hit home, for me at least. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So first question I have for you is, how did your role in housing actually begin?
So to start there, we always have to honor where we came from. And in 2 words, Darlene Tooley. And that was the founding director of Northern Circle Indian Housing Authority. Almost 10 years ago, I was a young mother raising my 10-year-old daughter, teenage mom, and just kind of struggling with where I was at in life. And Northern Circle put on a wellness event. And at this wellness event, we had community elders teach us that no one is allowed to hurt you and that we can't take on the feelings of others. So, although someone can be hurt and unhappy, it's not okay for them to project or to use those feelings to hurt other people. And being a young 20 something year old woman, tribal woman, I was just moved by it. I didn't realize at that point that I had autonomy over myself. That's not something that we're commonly taught. And at that point, I fell in love with Northern Circle. And this was my end all be all goal. No matter what, I was going to Northern Circle. I applied for over 8 years. And then finally, an opening came in. Excuse me, a little nervous. An opening came up for the occupancy manager position. And I actually moved from Nevada here to California for that position. And so I was very fortunate to be able to work for a little bit of time hands-on with our founding director. And she set the pathway for me to come into my position. Being a woman in tribal housing, it was not easy at all. I had to outwork a lot of people. But that's what brought me here, is the love that Northern Circle has always had for our tribal communities.
That's amazing. It's so funny. I feel like life really does take you on a specific path that's, going to always lead you to where you're supposed to be. So I think, it's incredible that you were able to work in that occupancy position, because that's such a huge part of housing, for those who aren't so familiar with, housing and the inner workings of all the roles and positions that, are available or there. So wow, that's incredible. But with that, so what is your vision for the role that you play in your community, and how do you hope to get there?
So I look at myself as a catalyst, and a lot of people give me flack for this. If I do my job well, my tribes won't need me. they will be so sovereign and have such sound economic developments and such strategically placed housing that they will have autonomy over themselves, and I will work myself out of a job. Because in the area that I currently serve, I'm a guest. I'm not from here. And ideally, I want to see that power and dollars go back into tribal hands, no matter what. And so that's my role and how I look at it. And I'm really fortunate to have 32 team members who look at it the same way, that that's what we're here for.
Definitely. I know how hard it can be being in your position and loving the work that you do so much that you're like, I never want to leave. I don't ever, want to go. But I think that is also key to, being a leader, being someone who's in, your position to be able to be like, no, we need to bring this. Yes, I love my job. Yes, I love what I do, but we need to bring this back to the community. I'm like you said, like you're a guest here trying to do your job and make sure that others can basically have that autonomy and be able to move forward without you. It's like, if I'm not here, you're good, like you're going to be okay. You can function, on a day-to-day within, your housing authority or TDHC. I think that's incredible. That's such a great way to, think of our roles and what we do, within housing. So, all right. Well, are there ever any moments you feel defeated? And if you do, how do you overcome them?
So I have a fantastic mentor, Britta Guerrero, who is the CEO of Snack in Sacramento. And when I got this job, she said, "Sister, sometimes there are going to be moments where all you can do is shut your office door, lay on the floor, kick your feet, and cry, and just let it out, then go wash your face, get back up there, and come at it again." If you have to put on a little Beyonce, if you have to go a little hood, whatever it is, you listen to that, you get motivated, and you get right back out there.
Talk about get it.
I can relate.
Yeah, go ahead, G.
Yes, I can relate. That's very good advice. Very good advice. Yes.
Oh goodness. Have you ever had those moments, G?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not lately, but in the beginning it was a little tough. We've kind of found our way through because there were a lot of obstacles and hoops and loops and everybody coming in every direction. But yeah, there are moments when you want to do that, and I think it's very helpful. So it's very good advice.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I like the Beyonce. Definitely. All right.
Her
Well,
new
with
song,
the,
right? Her new song was definitely
yes.
could
Yes,
definitely relate to that you can't break my soul no matter
yes,
what.
energy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. And that album is turning out to be a very good album. I don't know if you've listened to a lot of the songs or whatnot, but a lot of them are very empowering. So definitely, not that we're here to like broadcast Beyonce, but that is
Yeah, maybe just a shout out. Shout
yeah.
Just shout
out,
out, babe.
Yeah.
babe.
Definitely. All right. So, what would you say to your community members looking to step into a housing role but aren't sure? 'Cause, we are talking about eventually leaving our positions and allowing, those community members to move in. So, what would you say to them?
The way I look at any position in housing is that you're changing people's lives. From the receptionist when you walk in the door to the maintenance man who cares for the units, you never know if that experience, that day, that time is going to be a pivotal changing moment in that person's life. If you're treating them with total care, total respect, and creating opportunities for them to be self-sufficient, that's huge, but it's not numbers, it's people and community. And so that's what I tell community is this is worth it. You know, it's worth it to be of service to your people.
Definitely.
And for me, I think that's the biggest part, honestly, that community component, that aspect, you're seeing these people typically day in and day out. And, if you're here, I think if you have heart and you're here to help, that's going to carry you a long way as well. Because I feel like all three of us combined, we have a whole lot of heart for each of our communities and, and what we want for them. So, just my thoughts on that. But with that being said, what do you think is the best way for anyone to try and help? I know.
That's a big question. I think that one of the missing pieces I see in tribal housing now is that a lot of our smaller tribes are missing 5-year plans and strategic plans. And it's really key that all points of the tribe are cohesive on where you're going, and for anyone outside of tribal communities and you have those skills and that ability, supporting tribal communities to have that plan in place is a huge help. The other part is just, helping community to have a strong knowledge in NAHASDA and 2 CFR 200 and attend some NLC classes, because it's easy to get frustrated with what we don't know or what we don't understand. And it's a lot better to be empowered by those regs and know how to use them to support your community.
100%. I
Yes.
remember when I did not know how to read those regulations or anything. And we recently went through a mentorship program here at the Native Learning Center because our very own Vince Franco retired, sadly. But that's okay. We all prepared. We prepared for that whole succession planning, who was going to take on what. And I'm telling you, I remember there were times where I was like pulling out my hair, like not knowing where to go or what to look or what does this mean, when you're talking about those CFRs or when you're talking about the NAHASDA legislation. So totally relatable for, an individual who at the very beginning had no idea really what NAHASDA was. And now I'm like, oh yeah, no, we're good. All right. Well, that's it for my questions. G, I know you had a couple.
Yes. I have a few questions for our beautiful Elizabeth. Your journey as a housing professional is very inspiring. And can you just tell us how a tenant touched your heart as they work towards gaining their own housing stability, just like you did?
Worked hands-on with a couple of staff members who are also tenants and some tribal members who are also on council, and worked side by side with them as they became first-time home buyers. And throughout this process of credit building and credit cleanup and gaining that financial literacy knowledge, they've blossomed. And pairing that with community tools for wellness. I just had a young staff member, 31 years old, leave my office. We both have had some tough childhoods, but he's closing on his home today. And, the proud auntie mama in me just wants to cry all day long because that's what I want in communities. I don't want to create more renters. I want homeowners. I want to buy back neighborhoods, one neighborhood at a time.
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
seeing that in not only my leaders, but the younger generation beneath me, we're doing good. It feels really good.
Amazing. Congratulations. And that's another inspiration right there. Everything that you said. And it's not just the process of it's like you said, all of those steps that everyone needs to become aware of and make that a priority in those steps of building their credit and cleaning their credit up and working towards those steps and saving in the financial wellness and the financial literacy of it all in taking those steps to become a homeowner. And so, yes, that is like, that's amazing. And that's those big audacious goals that we all should have as um, housing professionals in Indian country. Is the same goals as that, is getting them out of the rental and putting them into their own homes as homeowners. So absolutely, thank you. That was wonderful. So if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old Elizabeth self, what would you tell her?
Ooh, so as I reviewed this question, I thought about what I've been told often in my life is that you're a product of your environment. And I was very fortunate to be able to read Kaiser's framework on adverse community experiences, which shows how if our environment is dilapidated or not in good condition, that it contributes to structural violence. The thing I think I would have told myself is that you have the power to change that environment. You have the power to stay right at home and to change that environment, not only for yourself, but the next 7 generations. That we don't have to run from home necessarily to find peace. That we have value and we can create that peace right where we're at.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's great. Great words. So it's just been great. It's been great talking to you. I've been so excited for us to do this podcast with you. And it was so wonderful to meet you when you was here in June for the leadership boot camp for housing professionals. And I just have one more question for you. I feel like it's very impressive to see how well the Northern California tribes and it appears other California tribes as well. They work so well together to accomplish successful housing programs, and especially how you all work with the state of California. I attended your training session that you all had that NLE Trujillo from Pala had hosted. So I was a guest virtually on there, and I was very impressed by that in how you accomplish successful housing, Indian tribal housing programs. How did this come to be, and how can other tribes join together to be so successful?
We all kind of came together because of the Department of Treasury programs. And so that the emergency rental assistance program really forced us all to talk to each other. We were handed this program where you got money deposited before you even knew what the policy was supposed to look like. So we started hosting webinars in our region, and then just partnering basically on an each one teach one sort of platform with our sister tribes. And we've continued that momentum with the California Coalition of Rural Housing, to the point to where we're now drafting a tribal housing grant program for $109 million that represents all 109 federally recognized tribes here in California. That is, Lord willing, when the creek doesn't rise, we'll get on the budget for 2023. And so it's been putting our egos aside, realizing that we're better together, and that I can't take my skills with me when it's my time. So why would I keep them like this? If I can empower, if my team can empower other communities, if we can do things together and collectively house people, why not? The other part of that is that Annalie Trujillo, Mariah McGill, there are a lot of young housers who aren't afraid to speak up now. We recognize the generation above us has fought quite hard. They brought us NAHASDA. They've brought all of these amazing programs. Now it's time for us to stand up and to do the same thing, just bring it all back home in a good way.
That is amazing. And so I want to put that out into the universe for all tribes to work together like this. And you know, everyone, a lot more gets done and we're more successful. Like you said, everybody push your egos to the side and just become, you know, a powerful force to think about helping our people and building up our community. So I applaud you. I applaud you know, the other tribes of California in what you all are doing. And wow, hats off to you all. And I'm so glad that we're doing this podcast and that we're letting everyone know exactly, you know, what you guys are doing. So maybe they'll hear this and maybe we can pass the word along to other tribal communities to come together and look forward to the future, you know, of what our communities are going to look like. So I applaud you and the other ladies that I know, Mariah and Annalie. I'm just really, really proud to have you all as part of, you know, our circle as well.
Thank you so much, Gigi, and thank you for paving the way for us.
Oh,
So, you know, really to give you your flowers and yours too, Crystal, you know, just everything that you guys collectively do for community. We appreciate it.
thank you. Aho.
Thank you. Thank you. Ugh. It's always such, it's, you know, my favorite part of what I do, you know, because we all play a role here, you know, as far as, you know, the Native Learning Center is concerned and then Indian country is the fact that when we put on these trainings, when we're, you know, organizing them and then the day comes where we're all now going to registrations open and everyone starts trickling in and then I get to meet all of you, you know, that's right there, I think the best part, because then I get to hear what's going on in your community and someone else's community. And then we get to share ideas and open up opportunities. And I mean, this podcast, had we not held that leadership boot camp, we wouldn't have met you. And then we wouldn't be here today. So just such a treat, so amazing. And yeah, no, just thank you for taking the time to do this with us today.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we know you're busy, so I think you're in LA right now, or are you back home?
I'm back home in NorCal now.
Okay. I saw you traveling, so I was like, oh, she's traveling. We want to catch her at a good time. So,
Thank you.
well, thank you so much. And you know, we're here if you all need us. You know what our training offerings are. We'd be more than happy to come out and anything you guys need training on, just let us know and we'll be out to California to see you guys.
We are going to take you up on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm still here, Crystal. Wow.
That was
That
amazing.
was amazing. I love her to pieces. I just you know, meeting her in person in June whenever she was here for the leadership boot camp, her and Mariah and Annalie. And I knew that they were a force to be reckoned with. And then after meeting them and seeing everything, you know, we all became friends on Facebook as well as on all of our social media platforms with the Native Learning Center. And just seeing everything that they're doing and then seeing her story and her journey was just so was something that I wanted to make sure that we shared with other young people throughout Indian country to that, you know, that no matter what obstacles life throws at you, even when you're young, and like she was saying that, you know, the book that she was reading saying that, you know, people will say that you're a product of your environment, but really you can just push through all of that and do great things. And you don't have to be a product of your environment, you know.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that I love the piece that she said about ego, because I think a lot of the time, you know, everyone, I come from a Hispanic background. Ego's like, so, so it's there, you know, it's not, and I know it exists within Indian country as well. But, you know, she's right. We're better together than we are apart. We're stronger together. So we need to, just as they've banded together to, you know, put out these training programs and, like you said, you attended the roadshow training that Paula held, you know, and they were all working together. So I just think, you know, it's so important. It is so important. We've lost so much in Indian country, and it's our jobs, like she said now, to rebuild that and to come back even stronger. So
yeah, she's definitely an inspiration. So happy to have her. So we've been busy. We've been quiet on the coffee tea and NLC because we've been busy, but you're getting ready to start a new fiscal year with your training department. What you got up your sleeve? What's going on?
Yes. It's been a crazy few months. I'm not going to lie. Since leadership, that's kind of when it blew up. You know, we've been slammed, but
back to back.
Yeah. So we've been back to back. Yes, with TAs, with on-sites, with virtuals, with everything, webinars, training new staff, saying goodbye to old staff, unfortunately. So I mentioned it earlier, so I'm just going to start off with this really quick. I mentioned it earlier, but our very own Vincent Franco, who is our Compliance and Resource Development Director, he has graciously and luckily retired, you know. Congratulations to him. I think that's the dream, right? For all of us, we would one day all love to retire feeling good, feeling like we've left some knowledge behind. And I know he certainly has. Like I mentioned, there was some succession planning kind of you if you listen to this episode, but we're doing okay. We're doing well. And we've said welcome to a new training and development coordinator who you'll meet on the next episode of Coffee Tea in the NLC. Her name is Owista Atkins, and like I said, she is the training and development coordinator for the training department, my little department up here within the Native Learning Center. But yeah, so a lot of exciting things, and then just trainings and planning and mapping out the next fiscal year. So I guess just a little kind of like sneak peek, if you will, for what to expect. There's going to be some grants management training where we review NAHASDA legislation and we kind of teach you how to go through it and understand it and all of that. So I'm very excited for that. I'm going to be instructing that one with a special guest. Not going to reveal that yet, but I am excited for that. Then there's going to be a bunch of other really important trainings that we're trying to throw in there, dealing with NAHASDA, dealing with customer service within housing. You know, we were just talking about that on this episode and how it's important, you know, how we handle our tenants and internal employees as well. So that's also going to be thrown out in the fiscal year coming up in FY23. And we have some new as well subject matter experts that we're welcoming as well. So just a lot of stuff going on. As for the month of August, because we are now headed in September, we're wrapping up some NAHASDA stuff. We're going into September with, let me see what we got in September. We're doing some tax credits conversations, so be on the lookout for that. We're releasing some other podcast episodes with dealing with brownfields for our environmental folks. And we have a partnership with a very, very interesting organization, the SEC. G, can you help me out here with the SEC? I always want to say FCC or ECC, SEC.
Securities Exchange Commission. So
Thank you.
It's a government entity, and most people just think that's just stocks and bonds. That's the stocks and bonds. That's the agency that oversees No, very important in their financial literacy, what they want to reach out to Indian country and have a more visible uh, platform out in Indian country, in having more young people learn about financial literacy, as well as making sure that we're very careful with protecting ourselves as well. So very excited to have them on board and develop this partnership with them.
Yep, absolutely. So it's exciting. That's going to be on September 20th for those looking, to be part of that. It's going to be on our Cathedra platform. And then we also have, tying at the end of the month of September, admissions and occupancy, folks. So I know that's on high demand. Definitely, if you can, September 26th through the 30th, look out for that. And it's going to be a virtual training session held through Microsoft Teams. So definitely some good stuff coming through the loop. Gee, what else do you have?
Well, and then also, drum roll, please. We want to go ahead and plug our wonderful fifth annual,
Yes, how could I
our
forget?
fifth annual
Yes,
energy
renew.
conference,
Yes.
coming up, the first weekend, the first week, not weekend. The weekend is, there's an added surprise to that. The first week in February, leading up to the 50th anniversary of the Seminole Tribe of Florida's Seminole Tribal Fair and Powwow that weekend. So that's a twofer. So you come visit us for the energy conference, and you stay and you can enjoy yourself at the 50th anniversary tribal fair, and the very, very prominent throughout all of Indian country. This powwow is huge, and we have tribes from all over the United States and Canada coming down to participate at our beautiful Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. So that's coming up. And Crystal, you're working on some really exciting agendas for that, correct?
Yes, I am. So we've been on the hunt for some speakers, and we're, reintroducing some individuals that have been part of previous year, which is such an honor and so amazing because, we're talking about government officials that are very busy. So it is very nice that they're taking the time to, either be a keynote speaker or just a presenter, and talk about what's going on within their department. I'm excited. I know G is as well. Energy in general, renewable energy and sustainability over the last few years has just been blowing up. And I know that's certainly been the case within this last year, and I anticipate the same for, the next year as well. I think it was a couple years ago where, we all really realized how important this conference was and how it creates that, community and partnerships. It allows for, the collaboration and so on and so forth. So I'm very excited. It's February 7th through the 9th, folks. So definitely, like she said, it's a twofer. You can be here for the energy conference, and then you attend the 50th annual powwow. And that's crazy. 50th, the 50th. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah.
Wow.
It's exciting. And and this year we will, or this coming year, the fifth annual in February, will be on site, but we'll also have it virtually as well.
Yeah.
But I know everyone's excited to come to South Florida in February, especially everybody from up north. So this is the perfect time. Come on down. The weather is beautiful in South Florida,
It is. I
and
love
we'll
February
have a
weather.
great time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. I just probably want to mention, I believe it, I want to say we were talking about it in March of this year, and we were talking about, how the entertainment industry, whether it is television shows or movies, or, we were talking about the influx of how Native Americans are being portrayed, and what type of television shows and streaming shows and movies. And just want to shout out back to Res Dogs, which season 2 has dropped in August. So I believe right now, currently, they're on like episode 6. So I'm not going to give any spoilers, but all I can say is that it's wonderful. And also of the Predator series, the latest movie, Prey, Prey, has this Comanche inspired everything about it, and the advisors and the producers and the directors on it are all Comanche, and so I was very proud to see a lot of folks that I know from back home that are a part of this movie. Uh, my grandson watched it. I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting. I'm going to do like a total binge with Res Dogs, and then I'm going to do Prey and all of it. But yeah, my grandson said it was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 stars. He said it's like the best Predator movie ever. So really proud of, got a lot going on. I have a nephew who is producing a short film called Ghosts, and it's about the residential boarding schools, and speaking from young men that were part of the boarding schools and the issues that have happened, that that we're talking about nowadays. But
Right.
but yeah. So anyway, get out, stay home, binge, however you want to do it. But there's a lot of good Native inspired entertainment out there that we're really, really excited about. And I don't know who's coming to Tribal Fair, but they always have surprises for us. So I'm really excited to know who could possibly be coming to Tribal Fair from one of those movies or TV series. So we shall see. So another good reason for everyone to come to the conference and then stay for Tribal Fair.
Definitely. Get your native on, y'all.
Yes, yes.
I love it. All right. Well, I don't have anything else really for our listeners as far as trainings and so on and so forth. Kind of went over that already. Just be on the lookout. Always go on www.nativelearningcenter.com to see our wonderful grants page, to see our wonderful trainings page, to see our wonderful webinars page, to stay up to date as well on everything that's coming out. We appreciate every single one of you that take the time to either watch the YouTube video here or listen on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. So thank you all. Much love to every single one of you. And we hope to catch y'all on the next episode. So until next time, we'll see you in September, because that's the next episode. All right, folks.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.